I absolutely loved Dispatch. From the storyline to the characters, both their personalities and their development, to even the dispatching gameplay. I'm still waiting for an infinite dispatch or roguelike mode, all tied together in the interactive TV show style. It made me remember how much I loved these types of games and that I'd been missing the genre. Now that all of the episodes are out and I've played them, I'm wanting more. But unfortunately, it will be a while before we see anything new from Ad Hoc, so we've taken a look at some other games that follow a similar style that will scratch that dispatch itch for the time being. As a long-time Telltale fan, I'm very excited to get into this. With that being said, we'll get the obvious out of the way first. The Telltale games are the most similar to Dispatch, and that's mainly because this is initially where some of the Ad Hoc team came from. All of the Telltale games follow a similar structure of a point-and-click exploration, the interactive TV show dialogue and decisions, sprinkled with a few quick-time events for some action, with each game differing in storyline and some unique features that tie into that universe. It might be controversial, but my favorite Telltale game is The Wolf Among Us. It's a much darker mystery game where you play as Sheriff Bigby, who's the big bad wolf. The story begins with a murder that you need to investigate, and the more you look into it, the deeper the rabbit hole goes, and you discover there is a lot more going on than what meets the eye. The whole of Fabletown ends up being involved, and I'm trying not to spoil it, but it's a great game. The familiarity of the Fable characters mixed with a great mystery and some action, I think it's a high chance that you will enjoy it, especially if you're coming from Dispatch. Erin Yvette, who voiced Blonde Blazer, is the main supporting character again as Snow White, which is why I went down the Blazer route. Yes, I said it. Actually, both Erin and Laura Bailey are reoccurring voice actors among many of the Telltale games. The worst thing about The Wolf Among Us is that it's left on an insane cliffhanger, so I'm praying that they can get their act together for season 2, which Ad Hoc was actually working on, but Telltale took over again, and now it looks like it's in limbo and it could be gone. But maybe after the success of Dispatch, Ad Hoc can get the IP?
Something like that.
I don't know, just wishful thinking, I guess. Definitely one to check out though. If I had to pick a game that's most like Dispatch, it's the Tales from the Borderlands. Again, some Ad Hoc members worked on it while at Telltale, but the setting is perfect for the comedy and action combination. It's easily the funniest Telltale game because of the idiot bandits, but also because they were able to snag a well-known actor, Patrick Warburton.
Right on! Let's do it! Rock that world! Rock that world!
To play as an arrogant Hyperion manager, and the interactions with his character are great. In Tales from the Borderlands, you actually play as two characters throughout the story, a Hyperion lackey and a quick-witted con artist, who were forced to become allies due to the circumstances of them both being desperate for the treasure from a vault. Not just a bank vault, these are different kind of vaults. It takes place between Borderlands 2 and 3, so you'll come across familiar faces or find out what happens to some characters, as it is canon. Of course, there's major ups and downs like all Telltale games, but the connections you create between the two parties that need to work together over the course of the episodes also has a similar character and relationship development that Dispatch has. But as a heads up, once Telltale went under, Gearbox tried to make their own new Tales from the Borderlands, but don't waste your time, it's at 30% reviews right now. The most well-known Telltale game is The Walking Dead, and it's magnificent. There are 4 seasons and a mini spin-off season and DLC. The first 2 seasons are definitely the best. Season 3 was a bit random, but still okay, and 4 it was just to wrap up the series, I think. It had its moments, but not the best. At the start of the series, you play as Lee, who is off to prison but ends up in a car crash as everyone starts turning into zombies.
In the road! This other town!
You stumble upon a little girl named Clementine, and your goal is to get her back to her parents and keep her safe. The bond between Lee and Clementine is something that you will love. The other games take you on Clementine's journey, and going through all of the highs and lows that she experiences is something that you need to do if you're coming from Dispatch. The first 2 seasons are amazing, and I think 99% of people were in tears at the end of season 1. It was that good. In season 2, the focus moves away from the apocalypse and more towards the people that are still alive, both the good and the bad. It's almost as good and great to play through. They also had a Batman game, which was cool. It got 2 seasons. It showed a new side of the Batman story that was much less about the action and more about the relationships between everyone in Gotham and how you manage it as both Batman and as Bruce Wayne. I'm personally a Batman fan, not diehard or anything, but this game was great to play through, although probably nowhere near as good as the 3 mentioned before. Laura Bailey plays Catwoman, who's the love interest, so if you missed out on Invisigal, you can get her as Catwoman.
Just remember, there is room for Bruce and Batman inside that suit.
There are 3 other series that are no longer available to buy digitally because Telltale lost the licenses when they went under, but if you can get your hands on them, I think they're worth trying. There's Guardians of the Galaxy, where you play as Star-Lord, and it focuses on the connection between the 5 members as you take on Thanos.
I am Groot.
Good one, pal.
I actually liked the Game of Thrones game, but a lot of people didn't. Maybe it's not as good as I remember, but it's cool to see a part of the Game of Thrones story you've never seen before.
Know that you never stand alone, especially now. You are a forester.
And lastly, the Minecraft story mode also had 2 seasons, and a lot of people recommend it. It even had a few Minecraft YouTubers as voice actors. You don't have to have played or seen any of the universes that these are based on, or even liked them to enjoy the games. They explore any lore that you need to know, and more often than not, a different side of the story too.
Everyone's running away, except for you.
Our gang sticks together, that's what we do.
Right, that's enough of the Telltale. We're moving on to Oxenfree. Some of the studio that made Oxenfree actually helped form part of Ad Hoc as well, so there's a lot of familiarity between the two. You play as Alex, a teenager bringing her new stepbrother to an overnight beach party that goes horribly wrong when you accidentally tune a radio into a ghostly riff. It has a great conversation system. There are no cutscenes. Dialogue happens in real time as you explore. You can interrupt your friends, talk over them, or even choose to stay silent, and the characters will actually react to that silence. The tension comes from the radio mechanic, where you have to manually tune into frequencies to solve puzzles or speak to the dead, often while juggling a conversation with your terrified friends. It's a short, tight, supernatural thriller with multiple endings that feels less like a video game and more like an interactive indie horror film.
You used to come here a lot as a kid, right? You used to come here a lot as a kid.
Something's wrong.
Out of all the games on the list, it felt like your choices in Detroit Become Human had the most impact. I know sometimes it's a bit of a complaint with these sorts of games, but there are a lot of different paths you can experience, and they even map it out so you can see the other potential paths that you missed in that chapter. The gameplay is also a bit more interactive than some of the others on this list too. You control 3 androids, also known as robots, in a near future Detroit where machines are gaining sentience. Connor, a police investigator hunting his own kind, Kara, a housekeeper on the run, and Marcus, the leader of a violent or peaceful revolution. Because of the 3 characters' stories, it takes you on a journey about what it means for you to be human. It's one of, if not the longest on the list too, so there's lots to play through with over 40 major ending variations. Yes, 40. Depending on the choices that you make. As an example, one of your characters can die before the ending, so you don't even see the rest of their story because in your version, they're dead. If you haven't already, you definitely need to check it out.
My mission is to stop the deviants. That's what I was designed to be. But what I do now is up to you.
Our next game was made by the same devs, Quantic Dream, and it's called Heavy Rain. It's a dark noir-style thriller about the hunt for the Origami Killer, a serial murderer who drowns his victims during extended periods of rainfall. Again, you don't just play as one hero, you control 4 different protagonists, a grieving father, an FBI profiler, a journalist, and a private eye. Many describe it as a psychological horror movie that makes you responsible with what happens, and it can be pretty tense. The story does not stop if you fail. Just like Detroit Become Human, if one of your main characters dies during a fight or a trap, they stay dead. The plot simply reorganizes around their absence, meaning you can reach the end of the game without ever finding the killer or saving the victim. It's all up to the choices you make. It's famous for its unique physical controls, like having to physically shake your controller to brush your teeth or dry off a towel, and of course the infamous press X to Jason meme. But beyond the internet jokes, it remains as an ambitious, stressful, and cinematic detective game. It's the oldest game on this list, but still definitely worth checking out.
It looks like we got our origami killer.
Just quickly, if you're enjoying the video, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can keep finding new games for you to play. It means a lot. Up next might be the most different game on this list. It follows the same style but as a musical. It's called Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. It's a modern urban fantasy where the Greek gods are real, they are hiding in plain sight, and you have just been accused of murdering one of them. You play as Grace, a college dropout who inherits the power of a muse. But what makes this game unique is that you aren't just picking dialogue options. You're also choosing lyrics in real time as the song is being performed. Your choices can shift a mournful ballad into a punk rock anthem or a jazz duet, changing not just the melody, but the actual outcome of the story. The team that worked on it is insane. It's written by David Gator, the lead writer of Dragon Age, scored by Grammy-nominated composer Austin Wintory, who also produced masterpieces for games like Journey, and if you couldn't guess it already, it's another Laura Bailey game. It's a bold, theatrical experiment that turns the dialogue wheel into a stage performance.
Lost girl, I know I'm not a lost girl, but this is all new and
We're switching genres now to a game that got a movie adaptation, Until Dawn. While we often talk about choice in video games, this is a title that truly delivered on the promise of the butterfly effect. You control 8 friends trapped in a mountain lodge. Anyone can live and anyone can die. There is no game over screen. If a character dies, the story adapts and keeps moving, locking in your mistake forever. What's fascinating about the development is how scientifically Supermassive Games approached the horror. They didn't just guess what was scary, they hooked playtesters up to sensors to measure their sweat and heart rate, rewriting scenes if the data showed players weren't terrified enough. It was originally designed as a first-person motion control game for the PS3 before being reworked into the third-person cinematic we know today. With a well-known cast, it remains one of the best and most terrifying games to binge play with friends.
Stop it! If we can't get along for 10 minutes, then maybe we need a little bit of a break, right?
If you loved Until Dawn, you need to dive into the Dark Pictures Anthology. It isn't just one game, it's a series of 4 standalone interactive horror films for you to play, also made by Supermassive Games. The 4 games take you from a ghost ship in the South Pacific to a witch hunt in New England, an underground temple in Iraq, and finally a terrifying murder hotel. Each story is based on a mix of urban legends, historical events, and various horror subgenres to keep you on your toes. It's also really cool that they have a shared story mode, so unlike the other games on this list where you just watch your friend play, this lets you play online simultaneously. You might be exploring a creepy hallway while your friend is fighting for their life in the basement, and neither of you knows what the other is seeing. The games are hosted by a mysterious, omniscient figure called the Curator, who critiques your choices between the chapters. The good news is that the Anthology is meant to have 8 games, so there's still 4 games on their way, with the next one set to release in 2026.
In these stories, fate rarely plays fair.
Our penultimate game captures the nostalgic feeling of an indie movie, a must-play game called Life is Strange. You play as Max Caulfield, a shy photography student who discovers she can rewind time. But instead of saving the universe, you're using this superpower to navigate the awkward, messy reality of high school. You might rewind time to fix a clumsy conversation, get the right answer in class, or save your estranged best friend from a fatal accident. The central mystery revolves around the disappearance of a local girl in the sleepy town of Arcadia Bay, but the real hook is the atmosphere. The game is drenched in a golden hour autumn vibe, featuring a hand-painted art style and an incredible indie folk soundtrack that makes every moment feel intimate. It's a slow burn mystery where even the smallest decision can have a devastating effect. If you want a story that feels cozy until it completely breaks your heart, this is the one to play. Deck 9 is the studio who took over all of the Life is Strange spin-offs and remaster, worked with Telltale to make The Expanse just a couple of years ago. It doesn't have anywhere near the same positive reviews on Steam as the other games on this list, but could be worth checking out if you're a fan of the show. Our last game is the newest narrative adventure from the original creative team that made Life is Strange, and it feels kind of like a spiritual successor the fans have been waiting for. It's called Lost Records Bloom and Rage. The game is split across 2 timelines, the grunge-filled summer of 1995 and a reunion in 2022. You play as Swan, one of the 4 high school students who swore a blood oath to never speak after a traumatic event. Now, 27 years later, that secret is catching up with them. Your character is a videographer. In the 90s timeline, you view the world through her chunky camcorder. You don't just look at things, you have to actually film them to capture memories and clues, effectively creating the documentary of your own trauma. It has that cozy but unsettling atmosphere, mixing nostalgic teenage bonding with a creepy supernatural dread. A few people made complaints that there's not actually a whole lot of gameplay. I know Dispatch was pretty light on gameplay too, but there should be enough for you to still enjoy this.
There are some things that I might not be ready to talk about.
That concludes our list. Hopefully we've helped you find something that can help with the Dispatch hangover. Let us know which one you're trying in the comments.
The answers are out there if you just listen to the wind.